Arena is here and I finally have access to it, so I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts and opinions on it. I know a lot of people are doing the exact same thing, but for the 5 of you who actually care about what I have to say, this is my experience so far. Now, this is just kind of off the top of my head. I have some notes written down, some key points I want to talk about, but essentially there are very few good things I have to say about it, and there are a lot of bad things I have to say about it. Now, with that being said, overall, I think Arena is a ton of fun. I absolutely love it. It is a nice change of pace, and I'm super glad that we finally have it and people are starting to be able to play it. In the background, I'm going to have some gameplay for you guys. I had a pretty good game where I went 20-4. We did end up losing, which sucks, but we'll get into how all of that works a little bit later. So we're going to start off with the good. I want to say first and foremost that Arena is so much fun. I'm having an absolute blast, but I want to say my first 10 to 15 games were not fun at all, and we'll get into that a little bit later with the bad stuff. So what I really like about Arena is it allows you to practice PvP without really having to worry about all the nuances of the main Escape from Tarkov. You don't have to worry about making money, losing money, going in with an expensive kit, losing it, and just being broke. This is basically a way for you to practice PvP with really no downside and nothing to lose. In the 20 or 30 games I've played so far, I can't really remember how many. I can definitely tell that my recoil control and things like that are starting to get better because I have a lot of time on the gun. Whereas in the main game, you might go hours or even a whole day without seeing anybody or getting into PvP encounters. Being able to practice PvP in this kind of environment is awesome. Next thing I want to talk about are the maps. I'd say overall they're decent, but some of them are definitely better than others. My favorite one so far is going to be Equator. It's like a very small arena style, super fast pace. I love it. And what I have found is running this map non-stop, I've been able to progress a lot faster than if I was playing all the other maps in rotation. These games usually go a lot quicker than any of the other maps, so that's why I personally like Equator the best, and I've been playing it non-stop. But some of the other maps, I'm not really a fan of the one that has like all the containers and stuff. I don't know what it's called, but there is a little bug on that which I will show you guys later, and it kind of breaks that map completely because you can literally see through every single wall on the entire map. And then the last good thing that I will say is the fact that there are 2 different types of VoIP communication. You have proximity and you have a radio. I would suggest going into your settings and whatever your normal VoIP key is, just go ahead and switch it to the radio. If you guys are solo queuing like me, switch it over to the radio. That way you can communicate with your teammates no matter how far away you are, because off the rip it's set to proximity VoIP like it is in the main game. So if you're on one side of the map and you want to tell your teammates on the other side of the map something, you can't because you're using proximity chat. So go ahead and switch it over to the radio. That way you can communicate on any part of the map. All right, so that is basically all of the notes that I have for the stuff that I think is good about Arena. Just a quick overview. I think it's a ton of fun. I think it allows you to practice PvP, which is awesome. The maps are overall decent. I really like the Equator map, and the radio and proximity voice chat is a nice little touch, but we're going to get into some things on VoIP later on in the bad. So speaking of bad, let's jump into everything I don't like about this. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest. One thing I do know about BSG is they want feedback, and they probably aren't going to see my video, but I'm going to give my opinions anyways. The only way this game is going to get better is if we tell them, so it is our job to do that. So first up, one of the most annoying things that I cannot stand about Arena is the armbands. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, if you didn't have armbands, how would you know who's on your team? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how every single game, it feels like you switch between team colors. So I'll be running around shooting my teammates because I think I'm blue when I'm actually red. If they would just change it to where you're always the same color, that would be awesome. Basically, just make it to where you're always red or always blue, or make it to where you can change the colors in your settings or something like that would be awesome. That way you don't have to worry about the confusion of changing colors of your team every single game. That is definitely one of my biggest gripes about Arena so far. The next thing that really annoys me is the announcer. He is extremely loud and it is hard to hear over him. I don't know why he's so loud. I don't think he should be gone completely because I like the whole vibe that comes with the announcer and the crowd and stuff like that. But I think both of them are just a little bit too loud. It's already hard enough to hear footsteps, and obviously with audio being the way that it is in Escape from Tarkov, having another layer of sound over top all of that is not helping us at all. The next thing that really sucks is kind of a two-parter. Allowing players to come in waves really sets people who get into the game later, it sets them up for failure. So what I mean by that is they're letting people get access to the game in waves, and I understand why they don't want to completely nuke their servers on day one. So they're letting a certain amount of people in on day one, certain amount of people in on day two, day three, day four, until they allow every single person to play. The problem with this is that people who got access to day one have had time to grind and progress through all of the kits and stuff like that. So when you have old Timmy on day four coming in, he's going to be going up against people who've been playing since day one. And I had this exact same issue. Now, obviously, I wasn't playing against, you know, people who are streamers, big streamers, stuff like that, who've been playing nonstop and, you know, their rank is way higher than mine. I'm still playing with people in the same rank range as me, in the same MMR, I guess you want to call it, because I do know that they have skill-based matchmaking of some sort set up in this game. But within my first 3 or 4 raids, I was running in with the PPSH, which has really bad ammo, and I was going up against people with face shields, Altons, class 4, class 5 armor, and they were just impossible to kill. I even tried using leg meta, and let me tell you, using the PPSH for as long as I had to do it until I got to the next class was absolutely terrible. I was on the verge of, I was ready to make this video and just completely trash Arena, say it was terrible, it was awful. But then after a certain amount of time, I realized that it was just the gap between the gear that I was using and the people who had been playing a little bit longer than me. They just had better stuff, and it was really hard for me to compete. It's definitely an issue in terms of the devs because I'm going up against people who have 2 or 3 days on me of playing and grinding and progressing, whereas I just hopped in and I'm going up against people that I literally cannot compete with. I can sit there and put 30 rounds into somebody's face shield, but I'm using ammo that has like 3 penetration, and I was getting absolutely destroyed. But I powered through the PPSH, moved on. I got into the little MP5 class that was next, which you guys are seeing in the video, and this was the first game that I unlocked the MP5, and it completely changed my viewpoint on the game. And I was like, okay, so maybe it wasn't so much a dev issue as it was that gun was just awful. So my advice is, you guys who get into the game later than me or later than the people who got it on day one, you guys are going to struggle for a little bit. Just power through it. I promise it's worth it. The game is actually pretty fun. All right, so I rambled on about that one. We're going to move into the next one. One problem that I have is the way that they are letting people get access to the game. Originally, what they said was if you bought EOD however long ago, you would have priority. So the people who bought EOD, you know, super early would get priority over people who bought it, let's say, yesterday. The problem with that is if you do not have an EOD account or whatever, let's just say you made a brand new account, if you bought Arena today, you will instantly get access. Think about that for a second. So all of us who bought EOD, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, like me, basically if you have EOD, you get the game for free, you get Arena for free. And, you know, I'm sitting here waiting 2 or 3 days to get access. Whereas people who have the base account of the game, who have maybe been playing for 6 months, they're like, oh, Arena looks fun, I think I'll just go ahead and buy it. They get instant access. I think that's kind of a little bit unfair. And, you know, I hate to say it like that because not everything in life is fair. At the end of the day, it really doesn't bother me personally. I don't mind waiting, and that's exactly what I did. Eventually, I got access and I was happy, but a lot of people are going to be very, very upset with that. So moving on from that, let's talk about that one map that has all the containers. Again, I forget what it's called off the top of my head, but I'll probably put it up on the screen. There's a major issue with that map that I'm going to put up on screen right now. Basically, there is a spot where you can walk up to it and you can see every single person on the map. It gets rid of all of the objects, all of the containers, everything on the map. It gets rid of it, and you can just sit there and see where everybody's going. Now, I know this popped up on, I think it was Landmark stream, and I believe they sent it to the devs, but I'm going to bring it up again because I was just playing last night and I checked it out and it still works. So that is a major issue, especially, you know, if you're 5 stacking, you can just send one guy to sit there and he can just call out exactly where everybody is, how close they are, how many people are on each side of the map. And it's just kind of game breaking. I'm sure there may or may not be some more bugs like that on other maps, but I've only seen it on the container map. Another big issue that a lot of people are talking about is the kits and the presets and all that. They need a major rebalance. I don't want to sit here and give my input on that because I don't really know how you fix something like that, but it just seems like there's some kits that are just way better than others and you have such a major advantage over other kits. Me personally, I'm just going to play the game as it is, use what I like, use stuff that I think is fun, and if they decide to change something later on down the road, we'll see how it goes. The next thing that I don't really like about Arena, and this also applies to the base game, is that audio just overall is bad. It's been like that for a long time. There's times where I'll just be sitting somewhere healing at the back of the map and then somebody comes around the corner and just absolutely blasts me and I didn't hear a single footstep. That's just Tarkov at this point. I don't know if the audio is ever going to be fixed. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this because people complain about it way too much, but I just thought I would let you know, if you're coming into Arena thinking that the audio is better than the base game, it's really not. Next thing I want to talk about is the 5v5. I think it's team deathmatch or whatever they call it in here. Basically, the way that it works, you have 5 people on each team. You fight until everybody's dead and one team wins. After a certain amount of time, if people haven't fought each other enough, a flag will pop up that you have to go and capture. On most maps, there's 2 of them, one on each side. The issue with it is when the flag pops up, if you stand on it, it only takes 7 seconds to capture and win the round. And if you're on the map that's set on woods, if you're on the other side of the map and it pops up on the complete opposite side of you, if a player on the other team jumps in it, you have absolutely no chance to get over there and stop them. I don't think it's a very good design. I think it's kind of weird. That's mainly one of the reasons why I've been playing the equator map, because there's only one capture zone in the very middle of the map, so it is equal opportunity for both teams to get there. So I don't know how they would fix that. I don't know if they should just put one capture zone in the center of every map. That seems like the easiest fix to me, but that's just another thing that I find kind of annoying. Now, the very last thing that I dislike about Arena is going to be the voice comms. So the issue with this is you only have proximity chat and then also you have the little walkie-talkie. But if you solo queue like me, trying to use voice comms in the game is actually kind of awesome. I do like the system with the radio and the proximity VoIP, but the problem is, let's say I die and I want to make a call out. I cannot talk to the people on my team because I'm dead. This puts you at a huge disadvantage to people who are like 5 stacking in a Discord, because if you're in Discord, you can communicate nonstop, tell your teammates where you died from, tell your teammates where you saw a guy going. But me as a solo queuer inside the game using VoIP, I cannot do that. And you know, at that point it's kind of like whatever. I just play the game, and if I win, great. If I don't win, whatever. I'm just having a blast right now. But I think it kind of puts people at a disadvantage for playing solo, or maybe it's just 2 of you or whatever. I think the way that they do the voice comms in game is just not very good. So that's going to be it. That's my thoughts on Arena. Hopefully I didn't ramble for too long on this. I wanted to keep it as short and sweet as possible. Even though there are a lot of bad things I have to say about it, I am extremely happy with the outcome that we got. Keep in mind that it could have been a lot worse. So overall, I like the game. I think it's fun. I'm having an absolute blast playing it. I wish my friends had it so we could all play, but I'm the only one that's got it right now, so I'm just kind of enjoying it while I can. But again, overall, really love the game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you've got Arena, go ahead and put down in the comments some things you like, some things you dislike. But other than that, I'll see you in the next video.
Команда красная побеждает в матче и забирает весь выигрыш.